Hey, 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 hey! Welcome to Super Serial Showtime, everyone. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and right now, Marsupial's not here yet. Oh, wait, he's in the audience. Maybe he'll join me in a second, whenever he can get in here. They actually made the buttons for getting on stage in Discord even worse than they used to be, so it might take him a minute. I don't blame him. I don't know why they just constantly make things worse on Discord instead of better. You think their job would be the opposite, but, you know. But in the meantime, we got a bunch of wacky things to talk about. Probably some things that we watched, because we've watched a few different things since the last time that we were on. There's been some updates to some things that we've talked about before. We've also got just a bunch of random news. Same old, same old. So if you genuinely like the show or not, I don't care. Go share it with somebody else that's in order. And, if you happen to really enjoy it, then the option is you can give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. And how you doing, man? Are you here?
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Sorry, I was late. I was going to be on time, and then realized I couldn't find my AirPods, and I.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still in the car.
No. I'm on location, but I might have left my AirPods at the office because I was like running down, checking through the car, can't find them, checking the right bags. I was like, I can't get. Anyway, all good. Peach let me hurts for now.
That's good.
So I'm good, and I'm in my isolation booth over here. So
let me just adjust you. There we go. Make sure everybody can hear you just fine. You are just a little bit quieter than you have been on your microphone, so I just had to turn you up a decibel or two. No, it's perfectly fine. It's better if I control it on my end.
Yeah. Well, I'm using my computer microphone because I figure for some reason the AirPod microphone isn't very good.
No, I don't know why. You think that's like their entire job is to make that good?
Well, I guess it's I guess they concentrate on the speakers. They want the speakers to be super amazing, but they don't seem to care.
Yeah, because I guess realistically you could just use the microphone that's already on your phone.
Yeah, I could do that. Right now I'm using my laptop microphone, so
yeah. Well, I'm just talking about like why they don't worry about the microphone for the AirPods. It's like, well, I mean, you already got a microphone in your phone.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep, that is true. And now I can't find the the cord to plug in my laptop so it doesn't die.
Oh no!
It's okay. Everything's fine.
Hopefully.
Oh, I know why. Because I left the cord at home. Forget it.
Well, as long as it doesn't die,
that's all that screwed up here. No, I found a very short cord to plug it into a battery. I have resources. We'll make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Well, before we talk about any things we've watched in the last week, I do want to update on a story that we have been following, and it's the box office for Minecraft. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to break a billion. It had the opportunity to, but yeah, maybe if it does, it'll just edge it, right? So, and it definitely won't overtake Mario, but if any movie would have as a video game box office movie, it would have been Minecraft. For them to be able to get there, they would have had to have made a third of their total box office to now in Easter weekend alone, which of all weekends, that's the weekend you could do it. And they didn't. Yeah. So they just recently passed 700 million worldwide at 721 million. That's kind of just keeping pace with what they've been doing.
Wow, this is a surprise. We talked about it last time. We thought maybe the box office would go up.
Yeah.
Over Easter weekend.
And usually it does.
Yeah. it dropped 64% the first week, and then over Easter, it looks like it dropped another 22%, at least on Friday.
Yeah, which is keeping pace with what you would normally expect if it wasn't like a big holiday weekend. It seemed Easter didn't really do anything for the Minecraft movie. So it might, by the very end of its run, it's still got like a week left, I think. It might still edge
3 weeks
at 1 billion, but
maybe.
I don't know. I think it might make it to 800 or 900 million, and that's probably where it's going to stall.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. Actually, wait. Oh, this is domestic. Why do they only show domestic?
I don't know.
Weird. All right. Well, yeah. So I guess approximately double. So best, maybe they'll do another 30 million.
And if they only do another 30 million, they're not even going to hit 8.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's also weekdays, but yeah. Well, good, because I hear it sucks.
Yeah, I hear that too. And from what little I've seen of it, it sucks. I wouldn't want it to overtake Mario, but realistically, it's the only video game movie that could have if it was going to.
Right. Well, yeah, and actually what I've heard is that kids do like it, and that at least Jack Black and what's his name? Dwayne Johnson.
No, it's Jason Momoa.
Oh, it's Jason Momoa. I always figured that.
But it's because Dwayne Johnson and Jack Black have already been in so many movies together.
I know, right? I've heard that at least the two of them seem to be having fun and not phoning it in, actually. Trying to make
I don't
it good.
think those guys ever phone it in, though. Like, I don't know if they have it in them to do that. They just kind of...
Yeah.
They're on an adventure when they're acting. Like, they're just there having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Which is why, like, the only thing I am excited for in the future of, like, the DC stuff that's coming out is Momoa playing Lobo. Because he's going to have a lot of fun with that. So whenever that happens, it's like, okay, I'm checking back into superhero movies.
Yeah. No, wait, is he going to be Lobo in what, the next, is he going to, in that
I don't think they've
movie?
said, I don't remember what he said what he would be in. He just said that he's on track to play Lobo.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if it's this upcoming Superman, I'll watch it just for that, but I haven't heard that he was in that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be cool.
Yeah. But I'm kind of like checked out until then. I'm like, there's nothing interesting enough to make me care.
Mm.
Oh, it's the Supergirl one, says Fischoso. Well, I wasn't really interested in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but I'll watch it just for Jason Momoa playing Lobo. That's literally the only thing that could get me to watch that movie.
Yeah, probably me too.
Which is sad because I really like Supergirl as a character. I just don't think they're going to do her justice.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a plug because the battery apparently isn't enough for my laptop.
Oof.
I'm like, well. Anyway, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, so I would say rest in piss, Minecraft, but you still did amazing anyway. Like, you beat out literally everyone that wasn't the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. Good try. At least
valiant effort. There's no shame in being second.
Second place is just first loser.
Yeah, I guess. I was like in Talladega Nights, right? And when his dad comes back, he's like, Bobby, I was high when I said that. There's all kinds of places. There's second, there's third, hell, there's even fourth.
Exactly.
That's such a funny movie. That's what we need, like hardcore parodies like that again. It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. What was I watching? I was watching some. Oh, I was watching sort of a mini documentary about the Naked Gun,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, people were at the time, at least, people were saying it was like the most perfect comedy ever made, comedy movie.
I mean, I could see that. There's really two types of comedies. There's like the sincere comedy, and then there's I don't want to call them insincere comedies, but there's the ones that don't take anything seriously, right? Which is kind of like those satire parody comedies like Airplane, Naked Gun, and all that. And on that half of the realm, I would probably agree that Naked Gun is probably still the perfect version of that.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably the peak of the Abrams Zucker era.
Like, it's the same genre of comedy that all of the Mel Brooks stuff falls into, and as good as it is, I think Naked Gun still beats like Mel Brooks stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to remember what all those guys. They didn't do very many movies, actually. The Abrams Zucker ones.
Yeah. But I'm excited for the new one.
Yeah. Definitely. It looks like it's not gonna shy away from, I don't know. Was it controversial comedy where they showed O.J. Simpson? I don't know. I guess that's not very controversial. I don't know if
I think almost everybody agrees with that, honestly, but putting that in there makes people think they're not going to pull any of their punches, and I hope that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully.
I would say on the other end, when it comes to sincere comedies, where like they take the world they're in seriously, I would probably put Tommy Boy with Chris Farley at the top of that chart.
Yeah, I guess so. Probably.
It's either that or Trading Places, which every time I watch that movie, it holds up more and more.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I was trying to think of one when you said sincere like what about what's it called? The Hangover. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, The Hangover would definitely be a sincere comedy. For sure. Yeah.
I just thought that was the original one was just hilarious.
Yeah, I like the first one.
Yeah.
I've tried to black out the sequels as much as the guys were when they woke up, so.
Yeah. Well, and the same with like Ron Burgundy or whatever, the Anchorman.
Oh yeah, like Anchorman 2. I don't know if I would consider Anchorman's not really much of a sincere comedy though, because it is almost
well, yeah,
very cartoon in which like anything can happen. It doesn't necessarily have like a logic to the world. It's just like whatever's funny at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mockumentary kind of a thing.
Yeah, especially with like the news crew fight. Like they have the fight between all the anchors. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I can consider this a sincere comedy.
That is true.
I love Anchorman though. That's not a diss at it.
Yeah. But not the second one. The second one is bloody awful.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you had a grenade.
Wait, was that in the first one or the second one?
Yeah, that was in the first one. It was that was after the fight. They were talking about like making it through the anchor fight. There were people who like lost limbs and stuff, and
like he was like
one of them was just like walking around with a grenade.
Yeah. He's like, wow, that escalated quickly. That really got out of control.
Like Danny Trejo showed up with like the Telemundo news station or something.
Yeah. Finally got the laptop plugged in, so I feel
nice.
Feel like I'm not gonna disappear in like 5 minutes.
Well, if you do, I'm not sending help.
Very good. Good idea.
But yeah, we watched stuff since then. We could start with the things that we've watched. I think probably the standout was we've been meaning to watch Arcadian for a while. We forgot about it because I remember bringing it up before the move, and then I remembered about the movie when we were looking for something to watch. I was like, oh, it's got to be on streaming by now because it just wasn't available when we first brought it up. I think it was still in theaters. And it was there, and it was Arcadian starring Nicolas Cage, though I don't know if I want to say starring Nicolas Cage. He's definitely the feature star in it.
He's in it.
But he's like asleep for half the movie.
Yeah. But I mean, he was in it for a good portion. I'd say about the first half.
Do you think Nicolas Cage gets paid less or the same when he's asleep on stage in the scene?
I have no idea how those contracts work, if they're, by the line or the amount of time they're on screen. I don't know.
It's probably not even him half the time when his character was unconscious. They just have like a wax double of him they could put in there.
Yeah, I don't know. You would think that, an actor like him, he would probably insist that,
Oh, I'm sure.
that he'd be the corpse.
Yeah, well, because he's very, very method. But not in the way that people use it now, because he's like a vaudeville style actor. But yeah, he would definitely probably insist that he plays his own corpse, even though technically it wasn't a corpse. He was just unconscious.
Yeah. But yeah, they'd be like, well, but it's just gonna be you're just gonna be in a body bag half the time. It's like, well, yeah, but I want it to be me.
We got to make sure the body bag is shaped exactly the way it would be if I was in it.
That's right. Yeah, but I don't know. It was okay. I can sort of see why it didn't. We didn't, pick up on it on the radar, because it was just kind of.
Well, I think one of the main reasons is just because it was in theaters, right? So we didn't go to theaters to watch it. It wasn't one of those ones that was available for streaming while it was in theaters. So it we just memory hold it.
I guess, yeah. I don't remember it at all. I mean, even after actually watching it, I don't remember seeing previews or anything.
Oh, I didn't. I've never seen a preview for it. I've only heard people talking about it. That's how I knew what it was, even when we were possibly going to watch it back then. It was it's definitely one that flew under the radar for sure. Though compared to a lot of the stuff that were out at the same time, it still, after watching it, it's something I would have rather watched than what was in the theaters at the time. So,
yeah.
I don't know what that says about Arcadian or what that says just about the general state of Hollywood, but that is what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a, what do you call it? Popcorn creature feature kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a creature feature. Just turn your brain off. Don't think about it too hard. They even kind of primed you for that early on when, just to give a synopsis of it, this is like a mid-apocalyptic, maybe you could even call it slightly post-apocalyptic, whatever you want to call it. There was a big catastrophe that happened, and now they're living in the dangerous world in the aftermath of that catastrophe. At the very beginning of it, Nick Cage, we don't know if these twins are actually his or not. They never explain it. He just picks up these two boys that are the same age. They may not even actually be twins. Like, he could have picked them up from an orphanage for all we know, and they're the same age. It's just the synopsis describes him as his twin sons. But he's raising these two boys the entire time during this apocalyptic event, and we're not even sure what the event is. All we see is him running at the beginning, and then it flashes forward to the boys being 16, right? It's 16 years later.
Well, you hear but you hear a lot of explosions and
sirens,
gunfire and
stuff like that. It feels like there's a war or something going on. And you kind of can piece it together later on once you come into contact with the monsters. You're assuming that these monsters somehow overwhelmed society, though.
Yeah.
Once you get to the end of the movie, you start to question how that ever happened, but that's that's later.
It's that's what took over the world? Really?
It was definitely more tense before we actually get involved with the creatures, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they showed little bits and pieces of them. It was like, ooh, that's creepy. I wonder what the whole thing looks like. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I wish they had shown me the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, the design of the creature actually isn't that bad, though. I don't think that's the problem. Even though, again, having some mystique, some veil does make a monster scarier. The fact that these things are so dark and they're constantly in either poorly lit environments or shadows, you still never really get a good visual of the creature. They almost blend into the shadows, right? Even when you get to see their whole body. And there are some creepy, unnerving things about them. I think it's a fine creature design. It's the execution of how the creatures were used is the issue here. So they're living in this post-apocalyptic kind of situation. They have their own little farm, a little house that's just the two of them. There's some local farms of people who have been kind of holding up against, I guess, these things for the last 16 years. Yeah. And they take a fall one day, or the one of the boys takes a fall. Yeah. And the dad has to go after dark to save him, which leads to him blowing up part of his arm. I think he's missing his hand and everything. And he is also just injured, probably infected. His body's trying to fight off whatever happened to him. So he's just unconscious for a really long portion of the movie.
Yeah. Now they already established that whatever these things are, they are only active at night. So they just
they explain that the light hurts them.
Yeah, as long as they get into their sort of fortified house, they're fine. But yeah, the kid falls and can't get back in time. Can't get out at all, actually.
Yeah, so they try to get aid from this farm where one of the kids' love interest lives at, and they're just nah, we don't want to help you. We're tight on supplies as it is. Plus, we don't really, they didn't really trust them either. They only wanted the one boy, the one boy could stay so that you guys would have more of your own supplies to use. Because clearly, though, the mother was looking out we need to get somebody for our daughter, and she likes this guy. That seems to be the whole intention there, at least the way the mother was acting. And in the middle of the night, their farm finally gets ransacked, and they have to run back to the cage house.
Yeah, I really can't understand why, except that you said that some of the people that were sort of turning them away were farmhands or something.
Yeah, it looked like they had a bunch of farmhands, maybe extended family or other people who lived on the farm, a bunch of root people. That since the farm itself had natural walls, there's concrete or stone walls stacked up, and they had guns and stuff. That for the most part, I think the monsters didn't try to raid this place before. They would have just got shot, right? But they found out that the monsters can dig, and they dug tunnels underneath the farm and the house and came up from underground and started getting people. And the monsters are very, very weird in every aspect about them.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't quite understand. I was actually kind of thinking about this last night while I was falling asleep. I was like, what is the purpose of they have these gigantic mouths that make this rapid snapping sound and motion. But they don't seem, I guess they do bite, but they don't.
Yeah, it's more like a weapon than anything.
Well, I was wondering if it was like a more of a signal, because it's.
Oh, well, it's probably multi-purpose.
Noise. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And there's one thing that's not clear, because maybe they actually do eat that way as well, because we don't really see it. The only time we see anything that looks remotely like a feeding, upon second thought, is probably not actually a feeding necessarily. At one point, when the monsters attack the mom at the farm, It opens up and extends like its belly out, very starfish style, around her, and kind of like consumes her. But then when we see it again, and it's like bent over a tub, kind of almost cracked open, with almost like the sack with the mom in it there, and the head's like limp over, and it chomps a little, but it can't move. I think that's how they reproduce, and they're using the woman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So those are all people?
Or at least they were made from people.
Weird. Yeah, it did have sort of a, what do you call it?
Like a xenomorph kind of vibe.
No, I was going to say, what's the guy that did all of the sort of cosmic horror?
Lovecraft?
Sort of stuff? Yeah, Lovecraft. I thought I had a Lovecraftian kind of vibe.
In the fact that like we have absolutely no idea what these things are, and they're kind of left in this like intentional mystery. It never gets described. And I was going to bring that up earlier, but I wanted to give the forward to it that equally, since we don't actually see the event that happens that causes all this, the story almost doesn't take itself seriously or wants to have you turn your brain off and not take it too seriously and just enjoy the creature feature. When the two children, the one of the boy and the love interest, are talking to each other, and they play a little game where you have 10 seconds to describe the end of the world, and obviously neither of them know. They were babies when it happened. But yeah, and like both of their accounts are totally opposite from each other, but they both kind of feel like they could have happened at the same time, especially when you see the creature, right? And I think it's supposed to just be use your imagination to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, because they don't, like we said, you don't see anything in the beginning. You hear some gunfire in the distance, and that's it. And then these weird things, they're like, I don't know. I mean, you were saying, and I agree, like, how did these things defeat the military of any country, really?
Yeah, because they seem like really imposing when they're attacking the farm at first, but they can easily be taken out by like a shotgun. You're like, okay, yeah, but it's a gun. Guns take out a lot of things, and maybe she just got lucky on the one. You don't know yet, right? But then when we get back to their house, the boys, and she's like there with them, they have like this whole exploding trap set up where he's like setting the house up to explode with the monsters inside, and they're hopping inside this like steel container that's going to protect them from the explosion, which is a really dumb idea because like I said, what if they flipped in a way that they couldn't get out of the container, right? Like, rubble could have fell on them, they could have been wedged in, there's nothing they could have done, but it worked out for them because it's a movie, it had to. And during this time, though, he's like, I need 10 minutes. You need to hold them off. And they're kind of doing it. The creatures, as they come one-on-one, are... what's it called? They're easy to handle when they're one-on-one. And I think that was kind of the point, that the mob is the danger here, almost like a zombie type situation.
Yeah, because they had to come down like this narrow hallway to get to them. So, like, when they did that, it was fairly easy to take them out one at a time.
And, like, in the middle of it, Nick Cage wakes back up. He grabs a baseball bat, and he's just, like, knocking them left and right with it with one hand. So it's like, okay. I mean, it's Nick Cage. He often plays a badass, but just because he's a badass, it doesn't actually make these monsters look very intimidating. Especially, like... Yeah. I think 3 of them ran him. It was like 1, 2, 3 in a row. So I do question, like, why did the military have trouble with these things? They're not bulletproof at all.
Yeah, like as Jozo said, the monsters in A Quiet Place were bulletproof.
At least functionally, right? Yeah. They have like this really, really hard exo skin type thing that's almost like rocks, and bullets can't get through it. You'd have to have them open their face up to be able to damage them.
Right, exactly. Although
Which
I've been
still I
watching this,
question that, because we've got some pretty heavy artillery that I think probably would just go through those monsters in a quiet place. When we were watching the last one that we watched together, I was questioning how the military didn't handle these things, let alone the stuff that we're talking about now.
Yeah. Now, the weirdest thing was apparently they can like ball up in a big group
Yeah,
of
they can make wheels.
them.
Right, so
Yeah.
we saw it in the background while the house was on fire right before they came to chase after them, and they can like tower up on each other and then use the momentum of the collapsing tower to basically wheel and start rolling around like just this big wheel of monster.
Yeah. That was very strange. I guess it kind of made you think, or made me think, like, well, what else can they do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And does that make them faster? I mean, you would have a lot of momentum, at least at first, from just the sheer weight of it. And maybe if they can grip just with like their arms or just their legs, one of the two, on the person next to them. They don't need to be holding in each direction. They only need to go one way. Then as the wheel turns, I guess they could stick their hands out and push it to keep the momentum going. But otherwise, you would eventually just like run out of steam pretty quickly. And is that faster than them just being on all four chasing? Because quadrupeds are pretty fast as it is.
Yeah. Like if they had just, if they had been like, like the xenomorph, that ran, they sometimes would run on all fours.
Yeah.
They definitely could have caught up to that golf cart. This thing couldn't even catch up to the golf cart.
Yeah, it was really weird. It's like they had this like extendable finger or nail or something at the beginning, and it
used again.
Never came back. Like that would have been cool if it was used for something. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to pull like I think it was like the aliens in Signs or whatever was using their finger to probe to see or whatever. Like maybe that's what they were implying. That he was trying to tell if that was a woman in there, a female that they could use or not before going in. I don't know. It wasn't very clear. It was just confusing. Well, it was cool at the moment, but then confusing later.
But like, so did it have to, like, they couldn't use men to reproduce? I don't know.
I don't know, because I've been questioning this myself too, and I went on a hunt on the internet looking through like people. Apparently this has a cult following already, as some things do. Looking through like other people's opinions, but also quotes from the writer and director of the film, which leads me to believe that they can only reproduce using females.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's just from what I've been able to hunt. I spent a good 2.5 hours the other night reading a bunch about this because I wanted to know more after we were done with this movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. There was a lot of left with more questions than answers, I think.
Yeah. But it definitely felt almost like some type of Armageddon type moment. Like the from quotes I could find, they are supposed to be like evolved creatures, which kind of to me takes a little bit of the fun out of it. But the whole situation feels like a unholy mess.
Mm-hmm. Apparently filmed in Dublin, Ireland.
You know, I thought, didn't I say that it felt like it was the British Isles when we were watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you said something about that.
I was talking about like the overcast and how if you're on the Isles, there's only 2 times a day. The sun is up or it isn't.
Yes, you absolutely did. Yeah, because it was like it was different. I mean the first half was better than the second half because like it was very atmospheric and mysterious and kind of scary because you didn't know what the creatures were or whatever, or even if there were any. And then and you couldn't tell what time of day it was because it was constantly overcast. And It was weird. It was like It Follows.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen like
Yeah.
uh, analysis of It Follows? Like
No, I've never seen
you
an
can't even.
analysis of it, but I've seen It
Oh
Follows.
yeah, it's weird because like you can't actually even figure out what time of what season it is. Because like leaves are falling off the trees, but at the same time, there's a scene where there's a girl in a swimming pool outside,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait, is it summer? Is it winter? It's like very confusing and what's the word? Kind of unnerving. Just doesn't look right. Something's not right.
Yeah, it gives you that uncanny feeling of like this seems normal, but there's just something slightly off about it at all times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's a review that says Arcadian's intriguing premise and inspired monster design pack plenty of scares. The things go off the rails in the third act.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. It's like it was better than the first 2/3 of the movie, where
Though I think the goofiness is probably what is building its kind of cult following. And that typically is the case. Like, everybody will pan something when it's new, and then it'll get a cult following that is like, yeah, the thing you panned it for is exactly what we liked about the movie.
Here's another one. A lean and competent, albeit generic thriller with the added benefit of Nicolas Cage.
Well, this is the only reason we watched it. Like, I'll give almost anything Nick Cage is in a chance. I still need to watch the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, or whatever it's called. Like, I have not watched it. I wonder if we can find it on streaming. You remember that one, right?
I don't think I've seen anything about that.
Yeah, so it is.
Yeah, no, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's the one where he plays himself and he gets like called over to some prince's place or some other rich guy, and the guy thinks like he's real, like he's that guy he plays in the movies, and he has to do all these like goofy action scenes and stuff. It's kind of a comedy, kind of an action movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember something about. I remember in the trailer, he's like jumping over a wall or something.
Yeah, and they're making a big deal. It's like, I won't leave you behind or whatever. And then it turns out that they could have just walked around the wall. There was like it ended right there.
Yeah. Well, although it was quite different, it reminded me of the called Color Out of Space.
Yes, which he was also in the remake of that not too long ago.
Yeah. And it was like, well, probably wouldn't have been worth watching if it weren't for Nick Cage.
Yeah, actually, I think the original version of the Color Out of Space, the old black and white one, does a much better job of Lovecraft's materials than the remake. But Nick Cage does a great job throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. He also was in that one, the movie that was going to be Five Nights at Freddy's. But
Yeah.
They
It was
lost
like Willy's something.
Wonderland, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Willy's Wonderland.
I haven't seen that. I probably should. Like I said, I'll give anything a try if Nick Cage is in it. It's just a matter of like eventually getting around to it.
Yeah. It was definitely scarier
Yeah.
than the actual Five Nights at Freddy's, and he was definitely better than.
Well, that's a very low bar.
Yeah. But I think I've only seen like the first half for some reason. I missed I'll have to watch that. It's on Tubi, so check that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we rewatched one of Nick Cage's best movies not too long ago, which was The Rock.
Oh man, yeah, that's like one of the most perfect action movies.
Oh yeah, it's him and Sean Connery, and all of the supporting cast too is great. It's like it's an A-list, top of the line cast.
Ed Harris, yeah, that was actually
Even
like,
got John C. McGinley in it.
Yeah, that was like what was I gonna say? Like Die Hard level, good movie. That was really good.
Oddly, we also watched another movie with John C. McGinley in it recently, and it was the Fat Boy or Fat Man and Little Boy, right?
Oh yeah.
Because he played the doctor who had to deal with the radiation patient.
Yeah. Who was played by John Cusack.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so hard to find John C. McGinley on Google?
Is it?
Can't seem to find him. Oh, okay, there it is. I couldn't remember. It's the guy from Scrubs.
Yeah, Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
He was in a great show. He's one of my favorite actors. He's like the only guy who survives Platoon by being a coward. He's like hiding underneath the body the entire time.
Man, he must have been young in that movie.
Oh yeah, because I was like 86.
Yeah.
He's also in The Animal, but he had a TV series. I guess TV. It was on, I think, Stars, called Stand Against Evil that ran for a couple of years. And it was a very Evil Dead style show. In fact, it was like competing directly against Ash versus the Evil Dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was
what
great.
Movie is this?
There's a TV series called Stand Against Evil. On,
okay.
I think it was on Stars or whatever. I don't even know if it was on TV. That's why I hesitate to call it a TV series. I think it might have only been on their streaming service, but it still was a series nonetheless. And Stand Against Evil, which obviously the play of words of he's taking a stand against evil, but his name is Stan. He plays this like retired sheriff in this town that's like haunted by witches. And the entire time that he was sheriff, he never encountered the witches who wanted to basically take their revenge against every sheriff who's ever been in this town, because his wife was a witch and was protecting him all those years and he never knew it. So like her funeral happened, she passes away, and he just can't deal with it. He's like, I can't continue being sheriff without my wife there to support me. So he like retires that same day and passes it on. But like all these demons and witches and stuff, the ghosts of these witches, want to take revenge against him and the new sheriff at the same time. And it's basically him, the new sheriff, whose name I can't remember, and his daughter. Like the three of them are the main characters of the show, and it's very grindhouse. Very, very cheap. They use like prosthetics and explosions and stuff like that. But that adds to the flavor. It's what you wanted. It feels like watching a grindhouse B movie in every episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's cool. Well, we watched an animated movie as well. We watched a lot of movies.
We did. Oh, it was originally on IFC. That was the network.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Trying to remember. Oh, yeah, we watched. It was Code White. That's what we just watched last night. I was trying to remember what animated movie you were talking about. The Spy Family.
Oh, I thought you were just holding off for a minute.
No. I was actually thinking, like, we watched an animated movie. Which one?
Yeah,
which was pretty good.
You liked it. Did you like it?
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I was more excited to get to it when, because I read right before we started that it wasn't canon. So I was like, oh, cool. They're just going to make up a story that could fit in here.
Yeah. I felt like you didn't like it as much as I did originally.
Maybe. But I think the same could be said for Spy Family in general. Like, I like it, but not as much as you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I guess because I had already seen it. I don't remember why or when I watched it. I must have been really bored or something and then just noticed it. Anyway, but yeah, I really thought just that fight scene with Yor and the sort of cyborg guy was kind of amazing to me anyway.
I mean, yeah, it was animated pretty well. There were some cool things going on. I think my problem is, and if this was written by the actual creator, it probably would have went different. It's having read further in the manga and seeing some of the things Yor can do. I'm just like, dude, she could totally just rip that guy's arm off. She was trying way harder than she had to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were trying to have it be a challenge and for her to have to come up with a unique solution to beat him. You know. So yeah, they probably could have done a better job. You know, I don't know, in his design or demonstrating that he was tougher than, you know, anything she'd faced before. But yeah, you just kind of have to.
Because I'm pretty sure that Yor could just like rip the metal plating off the side of a tank.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's done stuff that was just like superhumanly strong and powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, she could have thrown, a dagger or something like into some little opening in the metal, or something. I mean,
like jam the what's it called, the
bullet.
Yeah,
holder.
I'm blanking on the name of the actual casing holder in a revolver. But
it was like a drum. It was like a bullet drum.
Yeah, it was like a
magazine.
You could put it right there, destroy like the clockwork or whatever. It wouldn't be able to turn. Maybe even have some just like mechanical issues that would backfire on him.
Yeah, but they foreshadowed, exactly how she was going to defeat him earlier when they were going shopping, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess I didn't get quite. Yeah, it was weird. Maybe I turned my brain off more, or I was just excited to be seeing it the first time I watched, because it was just like seemed amazing. But this time around, I was like, so wait, she just kind of broke that. Like, did it blow him up? I don't know. It was a bit more confusing as to how.
Yeah, it just set on fire. That's pretty much. Now, I was saying they should have added some sound effects, because she did make the line go all the way up to his chest, where the actual casing for the gun was, and it's like, okay, well, if you apply enough heat, a bullet will just go off, right? Like that happens.
Yeah.
So like maybe all the bullets in his chest went off, but we didn't hear it. We don't know. So, like that would have been a nice little touch if they added sound effects or something.
Yeah, it could have been like fireworks. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and, we'll spoil it. She used lipstick, basically. That was made of oil, that had oil in it.
The oil-based lipstick.
Yeah. And ended up, basically, she was just running all around him. You couldn't see exactly what she was doing, but she was essentially just drawing a big, circle with, thick circle around him, and then she drew it sort of onto him and then back away so that she could light it from a distance. But in retrospect, the fact that the entire fucking room
was already on fire. Yeah, like
it was kind of like, well, she almost didn't even have to light it on fire, because
it would have just caught.
Probably would. Yeah. But it was cool how she was like hitting him, and it was almost like she was ice skating around him.
Almost, yeah.
So that's the way she was moving.
But some of the fastest runners, that's just how they move. They get down and they kind of just kick back and forth with their feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's so strange. Like, whenever they're about to kiss, she always gets so flustered and ends up hitting him.
Well, there was a part in the movie that I think you found a lot more awkward than I did, and that was the kind of like hallucination that Anya was having when she really needed to poop.
Yeah, I didn't find it awkward. It was just weird.
I know you were calling it kind of weird. I'm like, I don't know. This just seems like normal Japanese stuff to me.
Yeah, it was almost like she just Yeah, totally. I guess she had to go to the bathroom so badly she started hallucinating. Oh my god. And of
It's
course,
pretty funny. I like the different aesthetic style during that sequence.
hmm yeah, yeah. It's funny because it was more like in the original credits.
Mm-hmm.
They had sort of a similar style of more pastels and dreamlike and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
fascinating how they. I don't know how they. I mean, I don't know how accurate it is exactly, but whoever writes that does a pretty good job of writing a child and from a child's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. Just like, yeah, she doesn't know what's going on. She's gonna make stuff up in her head and imagines things in a crazy way. Yeah, cute show. But although I've definitely found some of the anime shows that we've watched since then I like even better.
No.
I think the more adult stuff actually I think I like better. I mean, not that this doesn't have adult aspects, but
It's a show about, I mean, both a kid and adults, so you do see a lot of the adult perspective that is clearly written for teenagers.
Mm-hmm. But I actually, the more time goes on, I find Anya to be the weakest part of the show.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, and I like
there's
Anya,
something-
but personally, my favorite part of the show is anytime we're doing something with Yor.
Oh yeah, I agree. Although Lloyd's pretty cool too. I mean,
Lloyd's cool, yeah.
he didn't have a lot to do in this one. I mean, he had a lot of disguises that he did, but like near the end of, or I guess at some point in the last season of the show that's been released so far, they had that. Was it a tennis tournament? I think. Like an underground tennis tournament?
Yes.
I
With
thought
him
that
and what's her face? The chick who showed up in this one. Was it like the Midnight? Like he's Twilight, she's Midnight? I forgot.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had to be doubles partners.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool because they had to deal with like these crazy booby traps and things, while playing tennis. And
Well, there's even the last episode too, where it was basically a Lloyd and Bond episode.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, he did get, but he got a lot of episodes or like screen time during the show.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he was kind of like captain of the ship, just making sure everything holds together type situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, her name is Nightfall. Her code name is
Nightfall. That was it. Okay, I knew a Night was in there somewhere.
Her real name is Fiona Frost.
I don't think that's her real name.
Well,
He's a spy. Do you think any of them have real names anymore?
Yeah. What is Twilight's real name? I mean, it's not Lloyd Forger.
No, that was made up for the mission, right?
Yeah, nobody knows what his real name is. But that was the first time that I think we've ever seen him disguised as a woman. I don't remember.
Was it?
That before.
I don't remember.
I mean, maybe he might have been like a big fat woman or something like.
I don't know.
But like, you were pointing out, like, how did he make himself shorter? And,
Yeah. No, it was like I was even bringing up in the movie Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey, right? His dad, when he gets kidnapped, he's extorted into stealing historical artifacts and documents and stuff. Like he steals the Declaration of Independence at one point by pretending to be an athlete. And in one specific scene, he's basically Britney Spears. And then when he goes into the limo, he takes his mask off, and it's the dad, who's way bigger than Britney Spears is. Yeah. But that's what it was reminding me of, it was that. Because he sits down in the car, and he takes it off, and it's just Lloyd's head.
Yeah. Or to the extreme level, the new Naked Gun, where...
he's just like a little Girl Scout?
Yeah, he's What's that guy's name? Neil.
Liam.
Liam Neeson, right? He is disguised as a little girl.
Yeah.
It's like 3 feet tall or something.
It's that type of disguise. We're like, how did you do that though? Like, really?
Yeah. I mean,
I guess she was like, was she in a dress? Well, I mean, she was in a dress, but she was like in a bell gown. If she had like a bell gown, I guess he could have been crouching, like bending his knees down in there. But I don't know. He also made his shoulders smaller too, so like.
Yeah, he is a quite a slight looking guy. I mean, he looks.
He like somehow retracted his shoulder bones in to make him even, you know.
Yeah, probably an optical illusion. It's just
Yeah.
Looks like her, sounds like her, wearing a dress. Like, guess we're meant to just.
If everybody's drunk, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And yeah.
They ended up they ended up getting all the ingredients for the Mari. Is that what it was?
The Mary, yeah.
Mary. And then something happened, and they ended up having to postpone and get a different recipe. The whole point of the whole plot was that they had to get ingredients for a special recipe so that Anya could get a Stella.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned at the end too, but like since this was not something that happened in the manga, and obviously they want to continue the adaptation, but they don't want the movie to not fit in there. They had to basically. Why do I even have this in this playlist? I need to remove it. They had to make a plot where things could reset at the end, right? Basically, nothing was accomplished. She couldn't get a Stella because that would screw up everything.
Right.
No.
But you were saying that some of the fans are a bit frustrated at the fact that the relationship between Yor and Lloyd hasn't progressed, I guess, even in the manga.
Yeah, but that's not, like I said, they're more concerned on top of that it doesn't feel like they're doing much spy stuff anymore. Which I said, I think everything they do is technically spy stuff because it serves the total mission. But that is the bigger complaint, is that it seems like they're doing less spy work, and it's even more just slice of life.
In the manga or in the anime?
In the manga.
Okay, because that's way far ahead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in like chapter 114, I think. What was the last one that was made?
Yeah.
In fact, I think the last thing that was made might have been like a fork home or something. Because last thing I saw was chapter 114.1, which is not like a full chapter. I think like a little bonus content thing.
How far are we in the anime?
Oh, let me think about that. I'm trying to figure. What was the last chapter that was adapted?
I guess I could ask Rock or something.
Yeah.
What was the last Spy Family manga chapter that was adapted in the anime? Searching. Chapter 59.
Yeah. So we're like twice as far as where the show is.
Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know what people want. I mean, at least in the anime, and the whole thing is a mission, but he keeps getting pulled off on other smaller missions.
Yeah.
But that's everything. In the meantime, Yor is trying to quit being an assassin, but she keeps getting pulled into situations. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I've not read the manga.
So that does beg another question, though. From what you said earlier, after expanding your, I guess, filmography of watching anime, what is your favorite currently?
Oh, Frieren, far and away.
Oh, okay.
I've been
It's still Frieren?
watching it. Oh yeah. It's fantastic. I can't even express how much I love that show. It's just like amazing, and it's like everything. It's the animation is spectacular. Just like I've been rewatching it, and not necessarily in order, just kind of random episodes here and there, or maybe 2 or 3 if there's like a longer story.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've noticed some things that I didn't notice the first time, or maybe even the second time. It's like every time I watch it, I notice something new. And like they have this tendency at the end of sort of a sentence or something, it'll flash for a split second to something, and it's kind of like a what the person's thinking about, but also like it adds context to what they're talking about. So like, yeah, like I can't remember what. There was one time when it flashed to like the sword that's in the stone that Himmel never could get out. I think they were talking about whether or not, I don't know what it was. Something about whether or not he's a real hero. But then I'll tell you the it's so bizarre. Like the one split second flash that like almost brings a tear to my eye was when they flash back to the scene where was that I don't think so. Okay. They flash back to the scene where they found Freerin, the other 3, Himmel and Hyder.
Yeah, when they ran into her in the first place.
Yeah, because they're trying to find her to recruit her to the party. And they have this big long conversation, and finally, I guess Himmel tells her, "You're the only one I want in this. The only other person I want in this party." And she agrees to come with them, and then it shows their entire 10-year-long adventure in the span of half a second, and it just flashes to like 5 or 6 different still screens, and you can't even tell what's happening. Like you have to think about it afterwards, or you have to pause it. You're like, what did I just see? And it was just like she says yes, and then this huge amazing adventure happens because she said yes, and it was just like it just got me. It's just so emotional. It's just like, oh my god, the 10 years went by in a flash, but look at all the shit that they ended up doing together, and stuff like that. I'm like, a split second, just like, and I was just in love with the show. It's like, this is amazing. And then like, the dancing scene that somebody said was like just one panel in the manga, they extended out to this whole big long thing where Stark has to learn how to pretend to be a prince, and Fern is his date to this ball, and he's never, he's not like that. He's really rough and tumble, and he looks at clouds and he sees boobs and things like that. He's kind of a guy, but he's playing this part of the prim and proper prince guy. And
I mean, I don't blame him. Half the time I see boobs in clouds too, so
yeah. And like you can see it on her face, like, so they show them dancing and they're doing the spinning thing, and every time they spin around, the camera's only facing one angle, and it shows Fern's face, and it changes very slightly each time. Like at first she's like, this isn't really him, this isn't really, but then she's kind of like surprised because he's dancing perfectly, and then she just kind of gets a smile on her face, and she's just like in heaven, just dancing with this guy, and it was just, that was an amazing scene too. So. And then of course how she defeats Or the guillotine was amazing. And I just love, I could talk about this forever. I love how they juxtapose.
Yeah, which you probably shouldn't.
I know, but I love how they juxtapose. She has these conversations where it's a very similar conversation that she had with the party back when she didn't really know anything about humans and didn't seem to care. And then later, she has almost the same conversation with Stark and Fern. And she has a completely different reaction because she is really trying to understand them and really trying to, you know, enjoy every moment of their time together, because she knows that, you know, in 50 or 100 years they're going to be dead and she's going to be exactly the same. And she just like it's just, I love how they show how she's grown, and then even show, you know, the 80 years in between, but they show how much different she is this time around. So
you know, the funny part is I find that to be the weakest part of the series.
Well, that's because you're too young.
Yeah. No, so it's almost the opposite. Is I think the strongest part is how they show the world itself changing. Right.
Yeah.
So they kind of use her as like a measuring stick or like a static point of reference, and you can see how like society itself is adjusting and evolving over time. Especially against this threat that are demons, right? Which used to be a bigger threat back when like the Demon King was around, but now they're still a threat. They're just a different threat, and even the demons are kind of adapting too. And using Frieren as a measuring stick actually gives more weight to the threat of the demons.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more interested in the human aspects, or, you know, the person aspects of it, where, you know, she's on a mission to understand herself and the people around her. That's like her main mission. But I also love the battles and stuff, and just like, it's almost like One Punch Man. Everyone underestimates her. Nobody knows like how unbelievably powerful she is. And, you know, the battle at the end of the first season, where she's basically fighting herself, a doppelganger that has the exact same abilities. That was amazing, because like the animation is fantastic, and it essentially shows like she typically only uses sort of this very basic, you know, attack and defense. But in this one, they're in this big room, and it's like she breaks reality, like there's these shards of, you know, space-time that just like appear, like you finally see, like, well, and to me, you finally see sort of, in fact, the name of the episode was The Height of Magic. And I mean, even Fern, she gets hit at one point near the end, and she didn't even see what hit her. She's like, I didn't even register that as magic. It was you know, magic is far above her as she is above us, you know, in terms of, you know, magical abilities.
Fitzjoso asks, how and why are the demons even a threat? They're as much of a threat as a bear. No, that is absolutely wrong in every way. Demons are way more, even like, I mean, bears are kind of intelligent, but the demons level regionally, we say they're like human levels of intelligent, right?
Yeah.
But like a bear to an unarmed group of people, like maybe even the most armed you have is a spear, is almost like fighting a god, like a force of nature. These things are worse than that, even if you are armed, because they have mana and they can use magic, and they can use magic very well, better than most magic users can. You need somebody who is like on the level of Frieren or her teacher, or she's teaching Fern. Like, you need exceptionally strong people to deal with demons, especially if they've been alive for a long time. The longer they've been alive, the stronger they are, which they point out with Aura. And they're also cunning, and they fool people pretty easily because they look like people. So I would say they are much more of a threat than bears are, especially because people, like in real life, are only average intelligent at best most of the time, which means they're easily fooled.
Yeah, and the demons are very good at emulating humans. You know, forget what his name, but the demon that was kind of pretending to negotiate with this town to try and get them to lower their barrier. The leader of the town, Graf Granat, is talking about his son having died, and you know, he really wants to kill this guy, and the guy tells this whole story about his father dying and how he left his room exactly as it was, you know, when he died and stuff. And then later on, he's like, you know, the other demon says to him, "What's a father?" And he's like, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They don't have fathers or mothers.
Oh, yeah. But, like, we see other things. Like, there was the demon that, at the time, Frieren didn't know how to deal with, like, one of the demon lords. So all she did was basically put him in stasis. Like, he was frozen, petrified as a rock there. And they had to deal with him 80 years later. But by that point, magic had... This is one of the things about I like how they use her as a measuring stick. Part. Because back then, Zoltrak was his thing. It was like the most powerful thing. Nobody knew how to deal with it. Now it's a spell everyone uses. Because magic has technologically advanced in that time. But like,
I do like that.
Yeah, like he was a genuine threat to everything. He could have wiped out... He probably could have killed Frieren if she didn't have the ability to turn him to stone at that time. So, like, demons are a threat. And Fizjoso asks, why would demons even eradicate humanity when they eat us? The Promised Neverland was better written. I hate Promised Neverland. I'm not going to call it bad. I just hate it. I guess probably good. Well, so they're predators is what they called them, which I wouldn't put them against eating humans. But humans are a competitor for resources. Like they don't need to eat humans. They can eat deer or anything else in the wild. But we compete with them directly, so if we're not there, it's better for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like how that, and not only did humanity essentially, eliminate Zoltrak as a threat because they just like studied it until they knew everything about it, but Frieren, it turned out, had I don't know if it was just her. I think they imply that it is, that she has evolved it even farther and changed it into a demon killing spell from a human spell. So, yeah, and it's funny how she, in that fight against the demon with Fern, like Fern's amazing, and she's basically taught her all of her best tricks, and you know, hiding her mana, and then only unleashing attack and defense in small chunks. Like, she doesn't have to like defend every aspect of her body. It's just, if something's coming at you, you create a shield right there, only for a split second, only long enough to block it, and then you stop so that you don't use up all your mana, that sort of stuff. And it's like simple little tricks that make her, probably the second most powerful mage in the world, or close to it, definitely in the top 50. But and she's supposed to be like 16. And as you said, the older you are, usually the stronger you are in terms of magic.
Yeah, well, that also depends on your nature, right? Yeah. There's some species that they just continue to accumulate mana over time, as per the lore of that series.
Yeah, so I mean, she doesn't have a lot because she's too young, but her ability to, conserve it and wield it in just the right ways is like, she's even said, like, Frieren says, you're much faster than me in firing off spells and that sort of thing. There's so many aspects to it that are just really well developed and well thought out, I think. Ah, and then there's the part where she breaks that shield. Oh my god, that's fantastic. They're in the mage exam, and yeah, I know. They're in the mage exam, and they're in an area that's been shielded so that they can't get out, nothing can get in. This gigantic area, and the shield was put up by the other elf. What was her name? Anyway, the other elf who's even older than she is, and the other magic users are like, yeah, that shield can never be broken, like, for as long as the earth will, be here, for as long as the universe stands or whatever. But Frieren, like, studies it somehow, like, in her mind, I guess, for a day, and she figures it out, and then it's like, the whole thing completely shatters. pretty cool. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah, and I mean they said that it's supposed to be on its way, but I don't think we don't have a window yet.
Yeah.
Might
Second,
be
I
the
think,
end of this year, but who knows?
Yeah. Second is probably Danmachi.
Yes, yeah, I would have guessed that. If Free Run wasn't your first, it probably would have been that one.
Yeah, I really like that one too. For in different ways. But it's not compelling me really to like go back and watch again. Like I would like to. I'd like to like Peach to watch it with me, but it's just it's an outstanding show as well, I think. But there's just something about Free Room that just gets me right there.
How do demons even breathe, and why do they care about anything, even each other? Well, they care about power. They have power hierarchies, and they breed like any other creature does. That's why they're male and female demons.
Yeah, presumably. What's the other thing? I can't remember. Yeah, Danmachi's I actually wouldn't even call it a close second, but it's definitely second. And then probably Ranma 1/2. I really like that show too. That's probably my third favorite.
Yeah, and eventually we'll get back around to finishing Inuyasha.
Yeah,
Just you have to take breaks every so often because it's such a long series.
Yeah, that one, and I think because came out around the same time, it just really reminds me of Pokemon, which I like.
It reminds you of Pokemon.
Well, in that it's a lot more like an afternoon kids show, right?
Maybe I don't know because when that aired, it was prime time.
Oh, really?
Well, in Japan, yeah, that was all of Takahashi stuff is prime time, but also her things, even despite as a manga level, are aimed towards a somewhat younger audience. They're kind of aged like maybe 12 plus. The adaptations are kind of like your parents need to be in the room with you, especially because they'll sometimes have naked people in them running around. So she pretty much always has a prime time slot. It's an actual nighttime, dinner time slot.
Okay.
Here in the States, though, because we have different standards of what can and can't really be on TV, Inuyasha pretty much came on, as I've told you, Texas time about 4 o'clock in the morning, so I guess that would have been 5 a.m. Eastern time. And that's appropriate because they wouldn't expect most people to be watching that.
Yeah. What do you mean there aren't any kids shows in Japan?
There are plenty of kid shows.
What about Pokemon? I just named one.
There's still a new Digimon. There's a new Digimon coming out, I think, this fall, which is aimed more towards kids. There's tons of kid shows in Japan.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of it's fine. I enjoy it, but it just kind of reminds me. I said since they're hunting for the little shards of the gem, it reminds me a bit of like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where each episode they're after the next shard, and it's been found by some thing that they have to defeat or whatever. It's just kind of
It feels very episodic at first. It does become very story arc heavy the further you get into it.
Yeah, I figure so.
Yeah,
I imagine I'm going to like it more and more as it kind of gets into that kind of stuff. But
yeah, especially as they introduce more of the recurring characters.
But I do like Ranma. It does feel a little rushed, this new version, and I watched.
Yeah, because they covered the same content as the first season of the other series, but in like half as many episodes.
Yeah. So I am interested in watching the original. I wish I'd watched it when you were playing it in Discord for a while.
Yeah, because we went through the whole series, all the movies and everything.
But again, it's kind of a little bit of a cutesy, you know, it's just, I don't know. I'm looking for something a bit more profound. but no, but honestly, Ranma is probably my third favorite. So it's definitely up there.
Well,
And then
that's also
probably
why you want something that's a bit more profound. We've added to the list. We just haven't started yet. And this is only, I think, 70 episodes. So we could watch that just almost straight through, similar to Fullmetal Alchemist. But Monster, which is one of my highest rated anime of all time. We could just watch that one. You added it to your list. I think it was in maybe Crunchyroll or Netflix. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it looks like Netflix.
Yeah.
I know nothing about that.
It's a
Neurosurgeon?
detective series.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually don't even remember adding that to my list, but yeah.
Yeah, we probably talked about it half a year ago.
Oh, okay.
That one's profound.
Yeah.
If we could find Ghost in the Shell standalone complex somewhere too, we should probably watch that one before the new Ghost in the Shell starts airing, which is probably going to be a year out. I think 2026 is when the new Ghost in the Shell is going to air.
Mm-hmm. No, that didn't look too bad. It's only 2 seasons.
Yeah. And these are some of the more mature, I would say, like series that speak more on like the human condition and stuff. I really like Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. That's another one of my like highest rated anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have liked the Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girls show, but I don't like the way they talk. And Frieren has this problem too. That's the only complaint I would have, is that a lot of the dialogue is very flat, and I think intentionally so.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of emotion in the.
Well, if you're not trying to be camp, right? Like, especially if you're not aiming towards younger kids, and Frieren is shonen. There's nothing particularly mature about it, except for there's a little bit of gore in the manga. I think they don't really do it as viscerally in the adaptation. It's just trying to be a more mature story, right? It's written so younger people can read it, but it's not trying to be a energetic, keep your attention story, right? The Japanese language is really flat. So if you're not like intentionally energizing it, that's kind of just how people sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I've kind of gotten used to it. Like I said, it's a small thing, but it's a bit more pronounced, I feel like, in the Rascal series, just because there isn't anything else. Like, you know, at least in Frieren, there's action every once in a while, and good and evil and all that. And the Rascal one is like, I made you dinner.
Yeah, it's actually kind of almost like we were talking about Nick Cage earlier, to bring it all like full circle, and how he doesn't act like most actors. He acts almost like a vaudeville actor does. There's like 2 different types of states for, I guess, executing lines in Japanese. It's either you execute it realistically, which is going to come off kind of flat because they're trying to match the Japanese language when you're localizing it, or the execution is like being in the theater where everybody goes over the top and they talk in a way that you wouldn't in real life, which is how we often see things in other series.
Yeah, like I watched the whole, I think there was only 1 season of Reincarnated as a Sword.
Mm-hmm.
And the dialogue in that is pretty over the top. Like, this guy's really excited about raising his levels.
And it's all like a choice of execution too. Often the art style will influence how they want to do the execution. So the more realistically proportioned the characters are, often the flatter the execution tends to be, because they're like, oh well, this is a serious story if the art style is kind of realistically proportioned.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like independent of how the author wrote it, because a lot of times these are adaptations of light novels and of manga. So how it's said in the source material is kind of just how you're reading it in your head, and it's up to the directors to figure out how to execute it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I will say that just because they've, it kind of has all kinds of ups and downs. That Frieren has some flat parts, and then there's some exciting parts. And I was trying to remember the name of those two mages that are like, they're basically a couple that she meets in the exam. The two girls.
Oh yeah.
Constantly fighting. I couldn't remember their name, but clearly a couple.
The ones that are like, quote unquote, best friends since childhood type thing, or
yeah, the older one is always, or the bigger one anyway.
Yeah,
it's always like pulling the pigtails of the other girl.
Yeah.
You're gonna rip them off.
I'm trying to think if we watched anything else. I know since we finished Devil May Cry, which really isn't much to talk about other than, that series just did Devil May Cry.
Yeah, and the finale was pretty good. I mean, I really liked that finale.
Yeah, I'm just... The same thing that upset me that time as it did the time before when I originally watched it. You get like a flash of Devil Trigger when Dante is like clashing swords with the guy at the very end, like, because it's like on his face, and then you see like his face design change to like the Devil Trigger, and that's it. And I think it's because the studio just did not want to draw Dante in Devil Trigger. He's so powerful, he doesn't need it. We're just gonna get the flash for it, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess so. Save that for the games.
Yeah. But it's like, man, I want to see the Devil Trigger, though.
I do like Konosuba. Speaking of which, since
is it later this week might be available for us to watch the OVA.
Oh yeah. That's not what I was going to say though. There's some interesting news that one of the voice actors in Konosuba was picked as a voice in some new Nikkei thing.
Yeah, it's just probably the new character. They're always adding characters. You get a new voice actor for it.
Yeah, and can you remember her name? I looked it up the other day.
Oh, wasn't it like Katie something, or I can't remember. Funny is, I actually know one of the a voice actor who's in Nikkei, who plays two different characters, who happens to also be the English voice actor for Ara.
Oh, she played who in Konosuba?
No, not in Konosuba. She is in Nikkei, but she also voiced Ara in Frieren.
Oh, interesting.
Is somebody that I've met multiple times in real life through Screw Attack. It was actually a former Screw Attack employee. Her name is Corey Petite.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It wasn't Faye. It was the one who did the voice of Megumin's Union. Yeah. Shoot, why does nothing show the English voice actor?
You have to go to like Anime Planet or something. Kaylee Mills, okay.
Kaylee Mills. Yeah, she did not have a good time this week.
Okay.
They were introducing her as a new voice in Nikkei, and apparently, and we talked about this a bit, apparently she was one of the people heavily bullying
Jacob Takahashi.
Jacob Takahashi. And
Listen, if you're an
do not like
American voice actor right now and you chose the side of SAG-AFTRA and to be a bully, you're not going to have a good time in anything that you hop into.
Yeah.
People are out for blood.
Yeah. Well, apparently, yeah. I mean, I guess they were doing this whole big presentation of new whatever the next chapter is of Nikkei or whatever.
It was the
And
2.5 anniversary because they do half anniversaries with Nikkei. So it was like a whole stream for the 2.5 year anniversary.
yeah, and then she comes out on the stage, and yeah, at least the audience in the chat pretty much just yelled at her the whole time.
Yeah.
Basically said, recast her, she's a bully, she's terrible. So yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that going forward.
Mhm.
Mostly in
Indeed.
games, like these live service, especially the gacha games where they're adding characters all the time, just because of how active and in tune the fan bases are. Right, live service has to update every time, and people who are in these are very engaged in the community. That's how you keep a live service running, is by getting people engaged in the community of it.
Yeah.
Less so over on the anime side, where definitely a lot of people don't necessarily like the voice actors. And if you're so hardcore on that, you don't put up with any of them. You just watch subs instead. But most people they don't care enough. They're just like, yeah, they're probably awful, but I get to not have to read while watching TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, we didn't even get into the whole. Well, I guess it's more of a Thursday topic, right?
Yeah,
sort of the
it is.
SAG-AFTRA thing with the game voice actors and all that.
Yeah, we could get into that if you want on Thursday, if we remember to. Some of the stuff
Yeah,
that I had,
you
which I
know
guess
more.
we don't have to talk about because we're over time and talked about Free Rin for half an hour straight. My condolences to the viewers.
Oh, come on. It's a great show.
It is a good show, but we've talked about it a lot. I did have some things to talk about. The new X-Files reboot that was mixed feelings on it. We've got information about how it's finally going to be coming soon. It's probably going to be awful because why do you need to reboot the X-Files? And new rules for the Oscars. This would be what we'll end on. So apparently, the 2025 Oscars will finally have a rule that requires judges to watch all official nominees before voting, because apparently that wasn't a rule before. You didn't have to actually watch the nominees before voting on them. For the Academy Awards.
For the Academy Awards. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it's never been a strict rule that you have to actually watch the picture to vote on it, even though they put out like a advanced Academy copy every single time for the judges to watch. No, like you could watch a trailer or whatever, and that was enough for your vote in the past.
You know, I'm not the reason I'm not surprised at all about that
it's the Academy Awards.
Well, no, specifically, Moulin Rouge winning Best Picture.
Oh yeah,
like
it's an okay picture, but there's no way it was ever Best Picture.
I couldn't watch it. I watched the first 10 minutes. I want to say I don't think I lasted even 15.
I've made it through.
I had to turn it off. Oh.
But that opinion though is not an uncommon opinion, which is why I think it's only an okay movie. It floats some people's boat, but not enough for it to be a Best Picture. Like, I don't even think it should have been nominated, even in a year that. Well, actually, that wasn't even a dry year either.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of just much better competition that should have taken it.
Boy, we are getting roasted in the chat here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess.
Hey, I apologize for him. I actually did try to change the subject a couple times.
Well, I could bring up one last thing that I've been watching.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd be interested in. I've been watching the first. There's only been 2 episodes so far of Yandere Dark Elf. She chased me all the way from another world.
Yeah, you've talked about that. And even what you've talked about has not really sold me on it at all.
It's it's Fitzgerald's least favorite thing. It's just like nothing but sex and like.
Yeah, which is why it's kind of almost anti-sold me on it.
Yeah, it's with a very uncomfortably young boy. Like, I don't know, guess he's like, I would guess he's maybe 14, possibly younger.
Yeah.
Actually, and this very mature dark elf who follows him home after he defeats the demon lord or whatever, and it's quite uncomfortable. But
I like yandere characters, but if you put yandere in the title, that's immediately a red flag for me to not watch your series.
Yeah. But I think it's going to get more interesting. The first 2 episodes were pretty much just, her just chasing after this little kid, which is a bit uncomfortable. But since she met his like best friend at school, or potential love interest, like this girl that has a crush on him, and she found out that this girl is a huge anime fan and loves the fact that this girl is a dark elf from another world and wants to know all about her. And so I imagine they'll add more and more characters that make it a more well-rounded show without just one weird aspect. But we'll see. Problem is, I've been getting my anime recommendations from Chibi Reviews, so maybe.
Which I've told you before. That's not the wisest idea. In fact, following him for a bit, I think his tastes are pretty bad in general.
Yeah.
Or you know what? I wouldn't even say that his tastes are bad. I would say that he's almost tasteless. Like he'll just gobble up everything.
Yeah, half the time I think he's just joking, but it does sound like at least he has a fiance who apparently loves manga and anime as much as he does. So.
Yeah, fiance that's as much of a gooner as he is.
Exactly.
Which he said himself, so I will take his word for that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and this, I just want to end this. We'll end this right here, without talking about this because it doesn't deserve to be talked about. The team behind Until Dawn's adaptation already wants to make a sequel, but not before the game gets a follow-up. Which is like, well, if you're not even adapting the game, why does that matter? And I think that's a good thing to close the show out with. You got any last words?
No, I was thinking about bringing up something else, but no, that sounds like a good place to stop.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please share it out. I promise in the future, I will attempt for us not to talk about a show we've already talked ad nauseum about for half of the show, if possible, unless there's new content that comes out. Which, I don't know, if you actually want to hop on and start reading the manga, we can talk about the manga. At least there's stuff we haven't talked about before. But regardless, we'll see you guys.
Wait. Can't stop yet. Just one thing. The Mighty Golden Patriot is
this week,
finally coming out this week. So
you know when?
I don't know what day, but I'm sure it will be very widely announced on by it's being printed by Ripasend, and I'm sure that Eric July will be announcing it and promoting it for the next few weeks.
Well,
whenever it comes out.
If we're putting out promotions for projects and stuff, go to xdynamischaos.com, look at the top post, and check out the samples for the Dreamscape Dilemma. Check it out, see if you would like it, and yeah.
And buy Fitzgerald's model of Voltorb.
I guess. Anyway, we'll see you guys no later than Thursday. Share out the show, and if you feel a little extra, give a donation to streamblast.com/vomitorium live, and yeah, take it easy.
See ya.